I'm Kat.
And I'm Hayley.
And this is Night Classy,
a tipsy night class teaching the oddities and curiosities you never learned in school.
What are you teaching for this learning journey, Hayley?
I will be doing a history lesson on the lottery.
Oh, cool.
Yes.
Okay.
I like it. You know, I'm a big fan of the lottery.
You are a big lottery gal.
Yes.
I would never have guessed that about you in a million years until you told me.
I'm a dreamer. What can I say?
An idealist.
I bought a ticket yesterday and I'm already looking. I have several houses saved that I'll buy when I win.
Okay.
Well, I'll buy one house, you know,
well,
just planning.
I'm looking forward to you buying me a house to live in your backyard.
We're all going to be doing very well when I win.
We can have your house, my house, and then between them is a tunnel for the cats.
Yeah, not even a tunnel, like an enclosure. We can have one above ground so they have their outdoor space and one underground too for when it's winter time so they don't get their little paws all cold.
Wouldn't the underground one be colder than the above ground one?
Cat, I'm a millionaire. It's going to be heated.
Oh, but
obviously.
The above ground one's not going to be heated for some reason. We'll have
it's
two.
Outdoor. So really, it's whatever conditions.
That makes no sense.
It'll be a flex space. There'll be some parts where it's covered. The tunnel will be covered, but also it'll be like...
What won't be covered? You're going to have like a chute that's not covered?
No,
it's gonna flood.
I'm gonna have an outdoor space that the cats can come in
like
and
a catio.
out of, like a catio.
Which you made that meme. Are you building a catio?
Not yet. That's a pipe dream. That's a lottery winning dream.
No, you don't need to win the lottery to build a catio.
Okay, once I get off Accutane and actually have money again, I'll probably do it then.
How much does it cost?
$500.
No, you just have to buy like chicken wire.
Okay,
and some
I
wood.
don't want to do it myself.
Oh, you want to buy a pre-made catio?
Yeah, and I want to put it together. I want to IKEA that bitch.
Have Alec build it. I feel like he could build a catio. No, he's
Can I
making a
commission
face.
you for a catio.
You were just bragging to me about all the tree houses you built when you were a kid, so I assumed.
I could build a catio, but
do I want to?
I'm shocked that you said you're the kind of guy that builds catios.
I just, like, when we were looking into buying a squirrel house, you told me, don't buy that. I can build it. So I just figured you could build things.
Did it get built?
No.
Exactly.
Yeah. But the problem isn't your lack of ability, I feel like. Your problem is doing it.
It's the ADHD.
Yeah.
Thank you.
No. My problem is also doing it.
The doing is definitely hard.
And I don't know how.
Procrastination, the urgency is really what fuels me doing things. Or excitement around something. I told you I got that Bissell steam shot that's been all over TikTok.
Have you used it yet?
Oh my God. I literally hours on Saturday used it. I'm like, this is how I know I'm an adult.
How much was it? I want one.
Don't buy one.
Why? Was it expensive?
No, it wasn't expensive.
Oh, then why not buy one?
You guys are getting gifted one.
Oh, well, I'm sorry I ruined the surprise.
Well, I didn't want you to go and buy one.
Well, wow,
sorry.
Thank you. Now I'm excited. Is it a housewarming gift?
It could be.
Okay.
Initially, it was for Alec's birthday, but
It's a steam what?
it's
Alec doesn't even know what it is. It's for his birthday.
Because I know
That's a gift for me, Hayley. Not.
But Alec loves cleaning.
He does love cleaning.
I do love cleaning. Oh, it's a cleaning thing.
It's a cleaning thing. So it's a handheld steam cleaner, but it's for all types of surfaces and it can get in little crevices. And the house that you guys are moving into, it's an older place, so there's going to be some nooks and crannies.
Yes.
And one of the bathrooms has like that grout tile from the 80s on the floor, and that shit gets dirty and you can clean it with a steam cleaner.
My bathtub is so clean. Like, I clean it regularly, but there's only so much that products clean it off. But you do it with this steam cleaner, it came right off. It was amazing. So the delivery is running a little bit behind, so I do apologize for the lack of surprise and
sorry, Alec. And Alec is the one who likes surprises, and I just ruined his birthday.
No, I thought it was an iron, like something you steam your clothes with, and that's why I was like, oh, thank you. Like,
Didn't already have that.
It has a grout attachment.
Whoa.
It has something you can use. I've used on the windows, so you don't
Wow.
and it disinfects and sanitizes, so you don't even need to use products. So it's good for like the cats. Of course, you still can, but like it just needs water. It's amazing.
That is amazing. I saw a video of someone cleaning their microwave with it and like being able to get into like the little like vents in the microwave. Oh, it was so good.
The windowsill videos of this thing.
Yeah. Windowsills are fucking impossible to clean.
I know, not anymore.
Not anymore.
I think it's coming in like 5 days, so you guys can go hard at your new house. So happy birthday, and I'm sorry.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
This is life-changing information that I just received. Also, our like 15 to 21-year-old listeners are like turning this off right now. They're like, fuck you.
Yep,
This
definitely.
This is now an old person podcast.
You all will understand. But Kat, what are you teaching us today?
I will be teaching you about one of the world's most famous authors' quests to prove the existence of fairies.
Oh, hell
He got
yeah.
soups into it.
I love the word quest. There's just something magical about it. Makes me think Lord of the Rings. I'm fully here for that. I like how fairies are coming back into our lessons.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of fairies. I'm a staunch believer in the fairy lore. So this will be a good one. We'll see what you think by the end of it.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. And what are you drinking?
I have wine that you brought me, thank God, after a long day at work. It's a bold Cabernet Sauvignon out of the box.
The Nighthawk Black, as per usual, straight from my kitchen counter.
Both the box.
Put it in my backpack. Brought it here.
The most important thing. And you're not even drinking at all. Before we started recording, Kat was like, I've been feeling thirsty for water, so she's just dehydrated.
I'm dehydrated. I think I might still be recovering from our cocktail hour on Friday, to be honest. Like, I have not had a hankering for alcohol since that fateful night.
Oh my God.
That was embarrassing, honestly. If you attended that cocktail hour, I am so sorry for my behavior. I hadn't eaten like anything all day and then drank one margarita and died.
You were gone.
I died. I fell in front of Hayley and Tommy. This is so embarrassing. I shouldn't be sharing this. But yeah,
you just got up so fast, and you had laid down, and then you got up, and we thought she cracked her head, but like
I probably did.
You're like, no,
I just couldn't
feel
feel anything at that point.
It was like a comedic pratfall where like the comedian like kicks like a cardboard box to make the sound louder. Like
guys,
it sounded like her head cracked on the floor.
And
but
it was a slow fall.
And it's not even like I did it on purpose or I was being like irresponsible. Alec drank the same amount I did and he was fine.
yeah, and I ate dinner.
Yeah, I didn't eat dinner. That
we
was
just
the
had
fatal
sheet
decision.
nachos.
Oh yeah, we had sheet nachos, but like they weren't ready until we started the cocktail hour. So we were trying to talk, and I ate like 2 chips, and then it was a disaster.
Oh yeah, I haven't seen you like that in a long time.
I haven't been like that in a long time.
And you're not a very touchy-feely person.
I know.
But you were like very touchy-feely.
I kept touching you.
Yeah,
because I was fucked up.
You like put your hand on my knee. I'm like, oh, Kat.
I never touch you. So I'm sorry for crossing any lines.
I'm
that may
not
have been
worried.
crossed.
I'm not worried about touching.
Okay, good. I don't want to make you uncomfortable.
It always makes me
You
laugh.
get consent.
I forget the instance, but like I accidentally like braced your leg or something, and I said sorry for touching you.
As you should be. I don't want to be touched.
I know you don't, and I just think about that every once and again, and I think it's so funny.
I have a bubble.
I know,
but it dissolved on Friday.
Your bubble popped for sure. We popped your touching bubble.
The bubble is back in place, so don't fucking touch me.
Full force until next first Friday of the month for cocktail hour.
It's like one of those bubbles that is like specially marketed. Like, you know those bubbles that you'd get when you were a kid and they were like extra thick and you could like hold them and have them land on your hand? Yeah. That's what my bubble. It's unbreakable.
It is until you get an empty stomach plus the margarita and you're good to go.
Disaster. It was so bad.
It was fun. It was very fun.
It was fun. The next morning was bad. But Taco Bell healed me.
Taco Bell healed you, and then we went to goat yoga.
Oh my God, goat yoga. That was the most fun I've ever had in my life. If anyone listening has the opportunity to go to goat yoga, do it.
Do it. It was
so fun.
All the little pellets they expel.
They never pooped on me.
Not on us, but directly in front of us. That poor girl.
Oh, she got pooped and peed on like 3 times.
Yeah.
We were safe though.
We were safe.
And all the goats were babies. I wasn't expecting them to all be like tiny fluffy babies.
Tommy said that it's because grown goats will rub their faces in their own pee.
What?
Yeah.
That is not why. It's because they're too big.
That's what he said.
What is he talking? They rub.
And I didn't know because the people who run it, he knows them.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's what he was told or where that came from. If
I
it's
mean,
true
grown
or not.
goats also have horns and like headbutt you for fun.
We like the little baby.
The babies
little baby horns
are so cute.
Yes. Well, anyway, anything else?
I don't think so. We don't have any announcements. I don't believe.
I don't think so either. I read a comment on TikTok that was I love these videos, but there's just too much jibber jabber in the podcast.
Then skip it, babe.
To each your own.
Think of this as an ad. You skip through those. Skip.
Right.
Press that 15-second skip a little bit.
You're not severely invested in 2 strangers' lives?
What? The thing is...
Jabber.
This is jibber jabber? I think not.
It is. But I get very into my parasocial relationships, and when I like a podcast, I want the host to tell me every little thing that goes on in their life because I'm obsessed with them.
Yes, don't be mysterious.
So,
I'm not trying to be mysterious.
I'm just trying to give the people what they want.
Yes, but I'm like super conscious about it now. It's like top of mind.
Whatever, they can skip it. There are plenty of podcasts that don't have any chatter, and they can just go listen to one of those. Go listen
this isn't
to
the pod for you, then
Radio Lab.
Yeah, Radio Lab.
Go listen to.
Get out of here.
I can't think of another one.
There are no other ones. There are none.
Yeah,
it's us.
We're the only one.
And Radio Lab.
The only podcast that matters.
Well, I have a learning journey.
Okay, I'm
ready.
Are you ready? Yes.
Okay, I'm going to start out with a story. And it takes place in 1980 in the small town of Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. Excitement was in the air as the daily lottery drawing approached. Everyone had their tickets ready and high hopes for the chance at the big jackpot. This would have been a record, I think it was like $3.5 million jackpot. But little did they know, behind the scenes, a group of conspirators were manipulating the lottery to their advantage. The scheme was used with weighted balls. So the way this daily thing worked, there were 3 compartments and it like blew the air, and you would open the latch and like one of the balls would pop up and that would be the number. And so there were these weighted balls that weighed them down so that they could predict which balls were going to be more likely to float up when the air was flowed and go into the hatch.
Such a complicated system.
It sounds
when you could just reach in and grab one.
Yeah, but then it's like, are you biased? Do you have an agenda? But then you still have these instances where people are trying to scam.
People can still scam.
Yes. I actually have a video of the drawing. It might help you visualize it a bit better. And there is audio, so you all listening will be able to easily visualize, I think, what's going on here.
Okay, here we go.
Good evening, everyone. It's time for the live drawing of the daily number, Thursday, April 24th, 1980. Each of our 3 machines contains 10 balls, numbered 0 to 9. We'll draw 1 digit from each machine. Now, mix the balls in the first machine, please. And the second. And now the third machine. Drawing tonight will be senior citizen Violet Lowry. Our supervising Pennsylvania State Lottery security official is district manager.
Okay, so the balls roll around and it's like a vacuum chute like at the bank that sucks one up. Also, for some reason, when you said 1980, my brain went 1880.
So 6.
Okay.
Second 6.
6. And now the third digit.
Watch your face.
6. And there you have it. Today's Pennsylvania Lottery daily number. That's 666.
She knows.
Got it, come and get it. If not, better luck tomorrow.
She shook her head as she's trying to get the last 6 in place. But I'm sorry, what were you saying?
No, I think because you said Harrisburg, I was like, oh, this was like colonial times. And so I was trying
Harrisburg address.
I know. I was like trying to picture how they would have the technology to be blowing balls up through a chute.
You know how
Back
they
then.
blew balls in colonial times.
I was confused.
The only time anyone has ever lived in Pennsylvania is during colonial times. I stand by that.
And also I realized colonial times wasn't the 1880s as well. I don't know. I just pictured a long time ago.
I mean, the 1980s was a long time ago.
That's
Not
true.
actually, but
No,
a
it
little bit.
was.
I mean, yeah, it's like
It's even older than Alec.
Wow.
barely.
Barely. He's right on the verge. And by the way, happy birthday, Alec.
Oh,
yeah,
thank you.
we didn't mention that. Happy birthday. Well, I guess we
Kind
did
of,
when
I
we
ruined
spoiled
his
the
birthday
surprise.
present.
I hope that's not a lame surprise, a cleaning thing.
No, that's great.
kidding?
I had
That's the
talked
best.
to you about the steam
Yes,
machine, so
yeah.
yeah, that's a great gift. Thank you.
Tommy and I were trying to figure out what to do. We're like, we could get him some more art supplies. And I was using the steam thing, and I was like,
Yeah.
I know what to do.
That's going to be your present to everyone forever.
It's so good.
So good.
I've definitely been influenced.
That's like when we bought our first nice vacuum, and that was life-changing.
Life-changing. And then I had to go and get the same
Yeah.
vacuum because I can't go back.
No.
I can't use the secondhand vacuum that I got in college anymore.
Absolutely. The difference is staggering.
It is. And I can only imagine using like a Dyson or something.
God.
I can't even think about that right now.
I'll buy one.
I'll buy one when I win the lottery. Okay, so anyway, they draw 666. And these scammers had weighed all of the balls down except for the numbers 4 and 6. Okay. So what they did was they bought a bunch of tickets, and there were, I think, 8 different combinations with the numbers 4 and 6. And since they were the lighter balls. Are you understanding?
There'd be more than that many combinations, but sure.
Would there be?
Yeah.
Oh,
It
okay.
would be
The source said 8.
3 to the power of 3.
With
Or
just
2 to
two
the power of
numbers.
3. Yeah,
Oh.
I think.
So 9.
I don't know. Math is hard.
I think it is 9. 2 to the power
Wait,
of
no.
3. 2 times 2
3,
times
it'd be, wait, never mind. I'm a math teacher. It's fine.
2 times 2 is 4 times 2 is 8.
Oh.
I
Yeah,
feel like
you're
this
right.
happens
Yeah, 2 to the
literally
power of 3.
every
You're right.
episode where you question Haley's math and
I
then
just-
it's corrected.
I'm just surprised it's that few. But
Which is
yeah, I
the-
guess you're right.
Yeah, because it's only 2 numbers, so it'd
yeah.
be different if it was all of the numbers. But eventually, an investigation was launched into the lottery's operations, and the truth was revealed. So obviously, it had been rigged, and the mastermind behind the plan was Nick Perry, who was actually the voice announcing the daily numbers. He worked with his vending machine business partners, Jack and Peter Maragos, they were brothers, to create these weighted ping pong balls that were exact replicas of the real balls used, except for the lucky numbers 4 and 6. Nick's co-conspirator, Edward Plevel, was actually a lottery official and granted him access to the double-locked room where the balls were kept. And when he did that, Edward mysteriously left the double-locked room unattended.
There's too many people involved.
Way too many people.
Like, that's how you get caught.
Yeah, you can't bring that many people in. And you can't be telling your friends and family to choose a variation of a combination of 4
He was
and
telling his
6s.
friends and family.
Yes, and
Yeah,
that's
see, too
that's
many
why
people.
they got caught.
That's same with the McMillions guy. Like, if you're going to do something like this, it has to just be you and one other person.
People simply cannot help themselves, I think. They thought
Yeah.
that they were so fucking smart when it would have been easy enough to just buy the 8 variations of 4
Right.
and 6. Say
You
it's your
just
lucky
buy
number.
it. You just buy it.
And then you don't have to split the jackpot with however many other people.
You get maybe one other person who because you work at the place, so it's suspicious
Yeah.
if you win. You find somebody. who doesn't seem to have any ties to you, and tell them to do it.
Your therapist, because they can't share.
A priest.
They can't disclose. Your partner, your married partner, because they can't testify against you. We have it figured out. We know what to do.
Yeah.
He did not. So Nick cut straight stagehand Fred Lumen into the deal as well, and Fred was the one who agreed to actually switch out the balls. So he did it before the drawing took place and then about 30 minutes after it took place, so that there wasn't a lot of time where the weighted balls were in there. And then after the rigged balls were removed, he brought them home to his studio apartment and burned them in a paint can to destroy the evidence. But that did not work. Officials' eyebrows were raised when the drawing was for 666 for a record payout of $3.5 million, split between 8 winning tickets. And there was a suspicious amount of tickets purchased for the other possible outcomes.
Yeah.
Investigators found out that the Maragos brothers drove all around Pennsylvania purchasing tickets with these specific variations of 4 and 6. And they even spoke to a cashier who said the brothers came in, slammed a wad of cash on the counter, and asked for the tickets. And as they were all being printed, the brothers made a phone call and spoke in a foreign language, and then held the phone up to the ticket machine so the person on the other line could hear the tickets being printed.
Why would you order more than one of each number?
That's what I'm wondering too. Maybe to like disperse it to other people, to be like, okay, this is your ticket. If you win, you go and claim it.
Yeah.
Again, I don't know how much sense they really had. They obviously thought it through a little bit, but not enough. Not enough.
Like at this point, just rob a bank could be easier.
It was the 1980s. You could have gotten away with a lot of shit.
Oh, yeah. You just change your name and move to a different state.
It's that easy. God forbid move to Ohio. So they pulled the phone records and were able to trace the call back to WTAE TV, and the phone call was to the announcer's booth where they did the drawings. So it was pretty clear. I will spare you the details of the court case and all of that. Long story short, they were found guilty and went to jail. But that is our opening story for the lottery. I want you to guess when we have the first recorded signs that a lottery took place in history.
I'm going to guess like a long ass fucking time ago, like Mesopotamia or like ancient Rome.
Ooh, okay, you're pretty close. The first recorded signs of a lottery in history are of Kino slips from the Chinese Han Dynasty between 205 and 187 BC.
Okay, that's later than I would have thought.
Yeah, well, Rome will come into it. It will, but that's like our first, like for sure.
Yeah,
we know that it's happening. So
I
surely
would
it
have
had to
thought
have been
like
before.
as soon as society became a thing, and like cities became a thing, we'd be having a lottery.
I don't know why I thought that it was just like a modern day thing, but I definitely did.
Yeah.
Not unlike today's American lotteries, the money was used to fund government projects. And in the first case, the project was the Great Wall of China.
Oh, hell yeah.
Funded by the lottery.
Didn't Tommy go to like college on a lottery scholarship?
Yeah, he did. Totally paid for. So
Yeah.
I'm hoping this lottery good luck keeps on rolling.
You could put all the money you would be paying toward his student loans into lottery tickets.
Oh my God.
Like it's all thanks to the lottery that you're not paying.
Financially, it makes sense.
Uh-huh.
It'd be dumb not to.
You're so right, Hayley.
I know math. This game of chance was referred to as the drawing of wood. The Romans also held lotteries mostly for entertainment at dinner parties, though, and it was a bit different than what you would think of as a lottery because each guest would receive a ticket for the chance to win hot ticket items like dinnerware, which, as we've already talked about as an adult, I would be excited about that. I don't know if they had steam shots back then.
Probably not. It's kind of like a raffle.
Yeah, maybe they could win one of those brushes, the sponge brushes
Ew,
that they all
the ones at like the
use.
public toilet.
Yeah.
Gross.
You get your own personal sponge brush.
I would have to have my own.
Congratulations. Yes.
That's like, did I tell you? I think I did. We have a neighbor who is very nice, but a little weird. And he asked me, he's like standing in the yard the other day in like the courtyard of our apartment building, like looking very distraught, like with his hands on his head, pacing around. And he looks at me and he goes, "Hey, you're Alex's girlfriend, right?" I was like, Yes. Do you have a plunger I could borrow?
What's it to you?
He asked me if he could borrow our plunger.
I
random
can't.
neighbor.
I love that he was just out in the lawn and he's like, surely if I look like a damsel in distress,
Yeah.
somebody will give me their plunger.
He certainly was distressed, and I don't have a plunger. Honestly, like I probably would have given it to him if I
Sure,
did have one.
sure.
I want to help him out, but it's so odd to ask like an almost stranger if you can borrow your plunger to plunge your shit down your toilet. Like,
And then you know what you did? You gave him shame, not meaning to, by being like, "Oh, we don't have a plunger."
but he doesn't have a plunger either.
It's a common
And I
problem.
told
we don't have a
Yeah,
plunger.
I told him, I was like, yeah, that's something you never think to buy until you really need it.
like,
And-
bro, grow up and use a wire hanger.
or drive 5 minutes to Home Depot and buy one for like $6.
Oh my God. Or just Google. I'm sure there's plenty of other things within
Yeah.
the house. Like maybe if you poured boiling water in the toilet.
I don't know. He really seemed to be in a tizzy. I think it was
Maybe it-
overflowing.
Maybe it wasn't poop in the toilet. Maybe he like put something else in there.
Like what?
I don't know. Maybe like cat litter or something.
Ooh. Well, he doesn't have a cat, so hopefully
How
not.
do you know?
I've seen the way his dog acts, and I just don't think
Doesn't
I
come
don't think he has
from
a
a cat
cat.
household.
Yeah,
Okay,
that's
that
a
makes
dog
sense.
household.
That makes sense.
Can I share one quick anecdote about
Yeah.
putting something in a toilet? Kat and I were walking around the Mississippi River about a month ago. It was about a month ago, right?
Yeah.
And we found a cartridge of unopened cinnamon sticks in a plastic jar. And I was like, that's so bizarre. And I like picked it up to see if it was unopened, and it was. So I like opened it and smelled it. And I'm like, oh, cinnamon. And then once I touched it, I was like, all right, I got to take this out and throw it away because sort of now it's my litter. So we take it out. We hike it like a mile or 2 miles out of the forest. And there's like no trash cans anywhere, but I had to go pee. And so we kind of guiltily threw it in the porta potty. Like I felt bad about it. But there weren't trash cans
Better
anywhere.
than leaving it in the woods. Porta potties are for waste.
You put it in the
toilet.
In the toilet of the porta
the
potty.
toilet part of the porta potty. And
I don't know. Don't
How
look
would
at us like
they
that.
like vacuum it out?
I didn't know.
we didn't know that. We didn't know
I mean,
that.
you could have just set it like on the, seat or
Yeah,
something.
but I don't know.
But-
Oh my
I figured people
God.
like put like pads and tampons and shit in there. Like it's not that different.
Yeah, but that's not a canister of cinnamon.
yeah.
But so I
Okay, it was a flawed
went
plan.
I went on a run there yesterday, and I went to go pee in the same porta potty. The cinnamon sticks are sitting there on a rock beside the porta potty.
So someone took that nasty cinnamon sticks out of like the porta potty waste and set it on a rock. It looked
And
clean. It
it's
probably
like-
got rained on.
It's like brown on the rock
Yeah.
around where it is.
Yeah.
I'll post this picture on YouTube.
I am shocked.
I texted her and I was like, what do we do?
I'm scared.
My first thought was that there was like a cinnamon stick bandit putting new jars of cinnamon sticks around the park.
We need to fingerprint that shit and arrest them immediately.
We would get arrested. Our fingerprints are on that.
You deserve it. Everyone in this situation deserves to be arrested.
I feel bad
Maybe-
for the next Good Samaritan that picks it up to throw it away, covered in human waste.
If it wasn't covered in human waste the first time, it definitely is now. Oh my God. That is the strangest thing I've heard in
Yeah.
a long time.
Yeah, that's a wild one.
Thank you for that. What other stories do you have?
Those are the only two for now. We gotta parcel them out.
Okay, that makes sense. We're rationing.
I'm glad your face, Hayley, was as shocked as I was when I saw it. I felt like I was in a movie. I'm like,
I I'm so glad you went back. What the fuck?
It's haunting you.
I mean, the only reason, and maybe not even in this situation, but the only reason I would reach in and grab something in a porta potty is if, like, my baby fell in.
Well, I imagine
Probably not even my phone.
I imagine it was taken out by whoever was cleaning out the porta potties.
Yeah, I
I
think
love
it
that
probably
they
got
just left it.
sucked
Yeah.
into the tube, clogged the tube, and they had to pull it out of the tube.
Oh, I feel
Yeah.
so sorry
They're like, this
for what I
is
did.
someone
I feel
else's
bad.
problem.
Yeah.
I'll run back there with a garbage bag, and I will properly throw it away for the listeners.
No, you
Yeah,
won't.
you should.
I will. That thing's cursed
the
now. We got to get
sisterhood
rid
is
of it.
cursed.
of the poopy cinnamon. That's amazing. I think that's a highlight. I think I'm done with my lesson. I don't think we need anything else.
You've learned everything you need to learn already.
I can't teach you anything else. We all know about the lottery. Oh my God. So anyway, I don't even know how to get back into this lesson. I'm going to be thinking about that for the rest of my life.
Get a tattoo of a cinnamon stick jar.
Oh my God, with like brown shadowing.
A puddle around it.
Oh, nasty. So at these Roman quote unquote lottery events, it was kind of a cop out because everyone won something. I kind of see it as a chance for the wealthy to distribute gifts. It was during the Saturnalian. Is that how you would say it? Saturnalian?
Saturn. I forget. We did a whole lesson on that.
We did. I know.
Saturnalia.
Barely.
I don't know.
Yeah. But those celebrations and the selling of tickets came later thanks to Roman Emperor Augustus as they needed cash to repair the city of Rome. Lotteries started looking more modern in Low Countries during the 15th century. Town records tell us about selling over 4,000 lottery tickets for a grand prize of 1,737 florins, which, thanks to a new time money converter website I found, is about $225,000 today. The Netherlands commonly organized lotteries and gave money to the poor or used it to fund public projects in the 17th century. And the oldest running lottery goes all the way back to the Dutch-owned state Staatslotterie in 1726. I tried to learn more about this event, but none of it was in English.
Did you try to translate it?
No, I'm not going that hard.
It's like, why bother? I've tried before to put it into Google Translator and it just makes the article unreadable.
Yeah, it's like, okay, this is English, but it's kind of like if somebody had like traumatic brain injury was writing the article.
And I'm already picky about the way articles are written. Like if it doesn't like have the right tempo or like you know the right if it doesn't read correctly to me, I'm not going to read it.
If it's not
when I do night class
Wikipedia,
research.
I'm not reading it.
You know what? That might be true.
During a trip to Italy, French King Francis I saw what they were doing with lotteries and adopted it for his own kingdom to bolster their finances. But the lottery tickets were ungodly expensive. So just your regular person couldn't afford them, and the wealthy people were against the lottery. They opposed the project.
Yeah, and it's like if you're like that wealthy, it might be like embarrassing to buy a lottery ticket. It's implying you need the money.
Yeah, and they're like, well, why would I want to fund our city getting
fuck
better?
the city.
Fuck the city. Fuck the lay people. This led to lotteries in France being banned for the next 2 centuries. The English dabbled in raffles before their first recorded lottery put on by Queen Elizabeth I in 1566. 40,000 tickets were sold at 10 shillings each, which is $250 today.
Jeez.
Can you imagine?
No, nobody has that kind of money to
No
buy a
one
lottery
does.
ticket.
And it's like, if I have cash, which is very rare, it's immediately going to the lottery because usually it's like $8 is what if I have cash, that's about how much it is. I'm like, okay, I can get 2 Mega Million tickets with double play, power play.
You're crazy.
Okay, I need to know why.
It's like the most Ohio thing about you that you're obsessed with the lottery. Something about you being from Ohio, it all fits together perfectly.
I don't even know how to describe it, but that makes so much sense. Why were you surprised that I'm obsessed with the lottery?
Because I've never met anyone obsessed with the lottery. I feel like it's rare. It's rare. And you're such a responsible, like, put together person. Not
Thank
that
you.
playing the lottery is irresponsible.
I mean,
it just doesn't seem like because you're into financial planning and like financial books.
Yeah.
Seems like it goes against some of those principles.
It's essentially throwing your money away.
Yeah.
But, sometimes you got to dream a little.
That's true.
That's like where, before I started Lexapro, that's where I would get a lot of my dopamine from. It's like imagining what will it be like to not be under financial stress?
That makes sense. You're paying for the fantasy.
Definitely.
That's dark take.
No, it's true. And it's like buying things online is more fun than buying things in person because you get the dopamine of like waiting for it to arrive.
Yeah, there's so many steps. And then online you can compare with other items. You can read reviews. Oh, if you don't read reviews and you buy something and then you don't like it, I don't feel bad for you.
You hear that, Kat?
I'm an impulse buyer.
Jesus
I don't read
Christ.
reviews.
Why wouldn't you?
Because I'm so impatient.
It's so toxic.
That doesn't make sense. It's like it's going to take more time for you to go and return an item, but you don't return either.
I do return. I return sometimes. I return things with Amazon because it's really easy to return that way.
And that's why it's like Amazon is what I mostly buy things from because it is so easy to return.
Yeah.
Which I hate because,
Right.
I'm a communist.
Who loves Amazon.
Unfortunately, I'm a product of my circumstances.
Listen, if someone else makes anything comparable, I'll use that. But for now, Daddy
Amazon is
Bezos
it.
gets all my money.
Yeah, unfortunate, but true. So anyway, 40,000 tickets were sold for a shit ton of money with a jackpot of $2.54 million today. The lottery would raise money for the reparation of the havens and strengthen the realm and towards such other public good works. So basically what the lottery does now. Each ticket holder, though, still received a prize.
Oh.
Like, lotteries were different back then. The total money, and okay, please don't ask too many questions because I had such trouble understanding this. The total money raised was put back into purchasing the prizes. So if you bought a ticket for $250, you would still get a prize that wasn't the jackpot, but it would be for, I think, a lesser value. So it'd be like $100 prize.
Okay. So you'd get something.
You'd get something. Well, it was like silver plates or tapestries or linen cloths.
Yeah.
Things like that. It was probably just overstock shit. Did they have overstock in 1566?
Probably.
Perhaps the most appealing part of this lottery was when each ticket holder was granted immunity from one arrest.
Oh, that's the best prize of all.
It is, as long as the crime wasn't piracy, murder, felonies, or treason, which, I mean, what else really is there? But...
So you're literally buying a get out of jail free card.
Exactly. And since it was so expensive, only the wealthy could afford it.
Oh,
so it's kind of like
I see
a
what's
masquerade.
happening.
Yeah, yeah. Essentially, the money received was an interest-free loan to the government because they didn't actually draw a winner until 3 years. Like, they sold tickets for 3 years and just took the money that people invested in their ticket and then used it, I guess, for the town and shit.
Could they like put it, I mean, I don't know if this existed, but like an interest, like accruing bank account, and then they could like redistribute the value of the tickets but keep whatever they made on interest, and that's how they used it to fund the city?
Perhaps. I'm going to be honest with you. I did see something about interest.
Yeah.
But my brain was not computing.
That's
and I was
fair.
like, mop it up. Leave
Mop
it
it
out. There was even a private lottery to support the American settlement of Jamestown, which I thought was crazy. A final English lottery was held in 1826 after constant pressure from Parliament to end lotteries. So they were like done with lotteries for a little while once they started, using it to colonize America and separate from the patriarchy.
What?
Yeah. And lotteries played a much... Wait, what? Do you
separate from the patriarchy?
The
monarchy.
The monarchy.
Okay.
Which is also basically the patriarchy.
Yeah, I guess.
Thank you for that. Lotteries played a much bigger role in colonial America than I ever thought they did. There are more than 200 recorded lotteries that financed roads, libraries, churches, colleges, canals, and bridges between 1744 and 1776. Princeton, Columbia, and the University of Pennsylvania were all started with help from the Academy Lottery. Okay, this is not good, but also unsurprising. George Washington founded the unsuccessful Mountain Road Lottery, which was for making roads, and also managed the, quote, slave lottery, in which the prizes were land and enslaved people in 1769.
Okay.
Taxes, as I'm sure you could guess, weren't really popular in colonial America. So during the Revolutionary War, Congress heavily relied on lotteries to fund the colonial army. And it worked for a while. And then people are like, wait, isn't this just like taxation?
It's voluntary taxation.
Voluntary taxation, which I suppose is better than required taxation.
I don't know about that.
I don't know either. They had mixed feelings. The world's largest lottery jackpot was won in America recently, November 2022, when someone won $2.04 billion in taxes. And fun fact, Spain has an annual Spanish Christmas lottery, which is now considered the largest lottery in the world.
Christmas lottery. Yeah.
Christmas lottery.
I want one.
Yeah, I do too. So now I just have some random facts and things. The chances of winning a jackpot for a simple 6-number lottery are 1 in almost 14 million.
I'll take those odds.
Yeah, I mean for $4, $2 without double play and power play. With the Mega Millions in the U.S., winning the jackpot looks more like 1 in 623 million.
Oh my God.
So the odds are pretty low. But if you win, that's lucky statistically, right? So it's got to count for something.
What?
The numbers,
if you
1 in almost over 600.
You're saying if you win, you're lucky. Yeah, I would. Yeah, I would also say that.
Just
Hayley.
lucky on so many levels.
so much luck.
I'm lucky
both real and imagined.
I'm lucky to even be able to have the purchasing power of a $4 lottery ticket.
That is so true.
It is. You got to count your blessings.
You got to remind yourself how lucky you are every time you throw $4 out the window.
You really fucking do. Don't even get me started.
I'm lucky to throw away this money.
For large prizes, winners have the option between a one-time payment and their annuity payment. Those who choose the lump sum can expect to bring home about a third of the advertised jackpot, but this typically ends up being less than the annuity option. Personally, I would do the annuity option. I've already decided I'm going to get,
Aren't you supposed to? No, you're supposed to take it all at once and put it in a high interest savings account. And then you'll end up getting more than you would getting the parceled out one.
Yeah, there's a lot of mixed reviews and recommendations. Okay. For me, it makes sense because it's a set. Well, I guess the high interest would make sense because for inflation, it's a set amount. Yeah. Okay. I take that back. I'm changing my mind.
That didn't take much. She did her research, y'all.
At the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. If it's a huge chunk of money.
What's the difference between like 20 million and 100 million. There's
none.
really
for
not.
me. There's none.
Yeah,
it's like
it's
more chances to
too
do
much money anyway.
like philanthropy work. So I obviously I'm going to take care of myself and my loved ones, but there's so much I've thought about, especially teaching in Memphis schools. I'm
Totally.
like, I could fucking turn shit around.
Yeah, can you imagine?
Oh my God, that would just be insane. I would love that.
Yeah.
Every school, we're going to start with making sure AC and heat works.
That is step number 1.
It is. Amongst so many other things.
Get an exterminator in there, kill the bugs.
Get rid of the roaches. Please.
God.
God.
There was a giant spider in my classroom yesterday, and the kids were like amping up to kill it. And I was like, no. It'll eat the roaches. Leave it.
It's a war of the insects in the middle school classrooms.
Yeah. Not that, like, I've been lucky this year without bugs, but
I mean, the classroom insects are off the chain.
Yeah.
And I think it's just food that gets dropped
the food,
and stuff.
It's dirty. Like, kids' lockers, they leave food in there. And also, like, at Memphis, it's just muggy and hot and has a lot of bugs anyway.
It's a swamp. The real feel today in the sunlight was 98 degrees.
Jesus. That does not surprise me. It was hot.
All right. Well, where was I? Winning the lottery for a long time has been seen of kind of a curse. The perception was that people become less happy when they're granted large amounts of money, but all of those studies were based off of a very small pool of people. And in recent years, researchers have actually been able to study large amounts of winners who have found a positive correlation between not only winning the lottery, but also the amount won and patients' happiness. I think it really comes down to the lack of financial stress being on you all the time. There's an often cited but unfounded claim that about 70% of people who suddenly receive a windfall of cash will lose it within a few years. But this has been debunked, and the people who win large sums typically retain or increase their wealth in at least the decade following this win. There are cases of people who wish they had never won. David Lee Edwards of Ashland, Kentucky won $27 million in 2001 and was broke 5 years later.
That's just super embarrassing.
It is. It is. They really went buck wild. They bought a mansion, cars, jets. They spent it all and devolved into a drug addiction.
Oh, yeah.
And it really took over their lives. And that can happen to anyone. The couple spent $3 million their first 3 months as millionaires.
That's nuts.
I know. I don't even know what I would spend it on, but it's hard to say when I haven't been in their shoes, you know.
Yeah.
If they went from a life of, you know, wishing that they were in a different financial position, being like having all of that freedom, like we said, you know, 20 million, 100 million, it all seems the same to us, but you need to plan.
The drug stuff, like that's a sickness. Like, I can't blame them for that, but like, you're gonna buy planes, really? Like, that just sounds fucking stupid.
Yeah,
that's on you.
You don't need a plane.
You don't need a plane. You don't need a yacht. Like, that's just fucking dumb. When are you gonna use that?
Yeah, I just want a house that's paid off.
Right.
No debt, a garden, and a catio.
There you go. She's a simple woman.
I'm a simple woman. So after their drug addiction, they actually contracted hepatitis from the needles they were using and were arrested multiple times for possession. Unfortunately, David died alone and penniless, according to his family, in 2013. And his family blames the influx of money for his downfall, which is really unfortunate, but that's just a drop in a much larger bucket.
Yeah.
So to bring up the mood a little bit, I want you to guess the age range that the U.S. lottery is played most by people in the U.S.
Oh, okay.
10-year age range.
10-year. Okay, I'm going to go 52 to 62.
Ooh, Very close.
Really?
Very close. 45 to 54.
Okay.
Which I feel
It's
like
10 years off.
you got within the 50s, I'd say. And as a lottery fanatic, I feel like that matches my mentality. That 45 to 54 range.
Yeah,
is really
mentally you might be
spot
there.
on. In 2014, Americans spent more on the lottery than any other form of entertainment. Seriously, that includes books, video games, movies, and music combined.
That's depressing.
They spent $7 billion more on the lottery than all of those other things combined.
Think about how much you spend on all like those 3 things each month.
I know. It's like, I think my monthly subscriptions are $100.
Yeah, at least. And you're spending more on the lottery than like your Spotify and your Hulu and your Netflix. What was the other one? Music, books. Oh yeah, and books.
Yeah. Do you want the breakdown of each? Because I have the breakdown.
Sure.
I didn't know if we wanted too many numbers. Oh yeah, and sports tickets. Okay. So sports tickets, 17.8 billion. Books, 14.6 billion. Video games, 13.1 billion. Cinema box office, 10.7 billion. And music, 6.8 billion. All of that equals 63 billion, and that's still 7 billion short of the lottery's revenue for that year.
That's insane. Cuz now we're including like movie tickets, concert tickets, video games.
And it really
imagine spending more on lottery tickets than you spend on all those things. And, and we're not including casinos in this. It's just the lottery.
It's just the lottery.
What the fuck is wrong with people? I mean, I guess it's an addiction in its own.
It
gambling.
can be an addiction, but I also think that capitalism has a lot to do with it because it holds up the extreme wealth as like it could be your chance when really it's even lower than the 1% of people that live like that, when most of us are making an average to extremely below average. A lot of people are living in what's defined as poverty, and the chance to get out of that for just $2 every week, it really is. It's appealing to people.
But man, that's a lot of money on lottery tickets.
So if you think I'm obsessed with the lottery,
you're
I'd
not
love to meet,
compared to some others. I do like scratch offs. That's something I can get into.
That instant gratification for you.
It's instant. Because I always, I've never bought my own lottery ticket, but whenever I'm gifted them, I just never check it. Like I forget. I don't think to do it.
And then it's like, well, if it's too late, then you don't want to go back and try and find the numbers and
you lose it.
48% of lottery winners continue to work their day jobs. Yes. And I think I would too. I think I would probably go back to school full time for speech pathology and then do that maybe like part time, maybe full time. I don't know.
Yeah. I'd probably quit my job and do school. Like I'd go back to school.
Yeah, just learn a bunch of stuff and do, continue podcasting, obviously.
Yeah, podcast. And like if loans aren't a factor and like having to make money when you graduate isn't a factor, I'd probably just like go the academic route, like get that PhD in history, knowing I'll probably never do anything with it, but like
it's that
fun
doctor
to learn. Be a little doctor.
Yes, I could see Dr. Barnhart.
Just for funsies.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah.
In a California Berkeley study on lottery winners, they found the most common things people bought were houses, cars, and trips, which checks out. And the last question that I personally had was, why can't you buy a lottery ticket with your debit card or credit card? Essentially, it's twofold from what I understand. They don't want people gambling. Like, they don't want you using credit, that like money that's not technically yours.
But then why not a debit card?
I don't know, because I don't know. Sometimes it can't go through. It's confusing to me. Some states do actually allow you to buy it with a debit card though, but some don't. I think Ohio is one that allows you with a debit card.
The credit card thing, I understand. It would be really depressing to go into debt for the lottery.
It would. And that gambling addiction is very real for people. So the last thing I have is a couple smart money moves for when you win the lottery. Number one, secure your ticket. They recommend you take pictures and videos of yourself with the ticket and then to lock it in a safe, a fireproof safe.
Oh my God.
Yeah. You don't want to lose it. You don't want anyone to steal it.
Imagine like taking a picture of your ticket, losing it, and then realizing you had the winning numbers.
Yeah.
You're totally fucked.
And you lost it. And you shouldn't sign it right away. There's a couple different ways you can go about claiming it. You'll want to hire a lawyer. Like that's the very next step, and they'll help you figure out your state's laws around it, because some states have you're allowed to claim it anonymously, which is preferred. In Tennessee, I don't think you can. No. But there was a case in Florida where somebody killed someone for their winning lottery ticket because they knew they had it.
Oh, yeah.
And they had the money. So, and now that person has extreme regret. She's in jail now. Yeah.
She's talking about it?
Yeah, she speaks out. She's an advocate for the anonymity laws for lottery winners.
What a weird life path that she has led.
It shows growth because
it does.
She's like, it was 90 days and then they released his name. And she killed him.
Jeez, what?
And then she's like, 90 days isn't enough. That could be a case on its own.
Yeah. I'm glad she's developed some self-awareness, maybe.
I think she has, for sure. And then you want to set up a trust, because some lotteries allow you to release the money into a trust so that your name doesn't have to be in a public. You'll want to arrange for a media advisor to make sure that they can handle, because you're going to have a lot of requests, people coming out of the woodwork, strangers coming to try and get your money. So you want to put some distance between yourself and the public. And a big recommendation is to go silent. Just go off the fucking grid. Don't talk to anyone. Don't be in the public eye. You two, Alec and Kat, you'll know if I win the lottery, but you listening will not, unless I start acting crazy silly.
I don't know. I feel like we would talk about it on the podcast. How can you not?
Maybe eventually. Yeah. But I'd like to. Probably not. Maybe just.
Yeah, that's true. That could be dangerous. We already basically tell everyone where we live.
Yeah.
Every podcast episode.
The triangulation of a couple weeks ago. That was intense. And the last recommendation is to hire a tax accountant. So for all of my lottery loving people out there, I hope this helped you out. I hope you enjoyed the lesson, and that's all I have.
I did. Thank you for that lesson. And we'll BRB. I'm going to go buy our lottery tickets. Hayley, I finished this week's episode, but I still want more. What can I do about it?
Well, you have a couple of options. You could go into the backlog, or you can join us over on Patreon every single week for an extra tidbit. It's called Extra Credit, where we continue the conversation and learn some fun facts. Not only is it me and you, but Alec also brings something to the table.
Sometimes we start researching for a lesson and there's just not enough information. So Extra Credit is the perfect place to share. It's like we're giving each other little mini lessons, and it's even more unhinged than the normal podcast. So if you like it, go over there.
If you like jibber jabber, go check out the Extra Credit.
And even if you don't, there's some fun facts
there definitely
around.
There definitely are. And I really like getting tagged in things on like TikTok, where it's like somebody said the other day, like, ooh, this looks like a cat Extra Credit. I don't know.
I did not see that.
You need to go check it. Okay. I specifically didn't watch it because I was like, oh, I don't want to ruin her Extra Credit.
See it. Send it my way.
Well, there you go. Go check it out.
I will.
But yeah, we do that every single week. Extra Credit is something we like to do. It's just a bit of extra content. Sometimes it's, 15 minutes. Sometimes it's 30 minutes. And we talk about existential stuff. So we think you guys would like it. That's why we do it.
You'll like it, and not only will you enjoy it, but you will be helping support the show. You can go to patreon.com/nightclassy, join at any tier, support the show, and get some extra credit.
Love you. Bye.
Love you. Hello and welcome.
Thank you. I feel very welcome. I'm ready for this.
I am too. The year was 1917, and 9-year-old Frances Griffiths moved with her mom to Cottingley, England from South Africa. They moved in with Frances's aunt, who was her mother's sister, and she had a 16-year-old daughter named Elsie. So Frances and Elsie became friends. They really liked playing together in the gardens. And in these gardens, there was this small stream at the bottom of the hill. And I have a picture of that in my slides, which Alec is pulling up. It's right there. So they would go down the hill. There's like a little waterfall, and they would come back into the house and be soaking wet. And this like really pissed Elsie's mom off because they're coming in dirty. And so one day she's like, why the fuck do you keep going down there? Like, why can you girls not stay away from that water?
Why would you stay away from it? Did you have like a magical feeling spring or creek or anything where you lived growing up?
I mean, I've played in the creek before, but like I think this was like they would go down there like not intending to swim and just like get their clothes soaking wet. Like they just like couldn't stay out.
Oh my gosh.
Is what it
we
sounds
were
like
constantly in water.
Yeah, we would get in water too. I don't know. It sounds like they were just kind of like doing it a little too much maybe.
Yeah, mom's busy. She's like, I don't have time for
Right,
this
she doesn't want to mop the fucking floor. And one of these girls is 16. You're like, you should fucking know better. At least take off your shoes first.
The time has, I remember checking myself like when I was still playing with Barbies and I was like, am I too old?
I know.
And I wish I wouldn't have done that. I wish I would have done it for as long as I wanted to.
Or like you pretend in front of your friends that you don't play with your toys anymore, but like you do in secret.
Yeah, it was like my best friend growing up, you know, Alex. We would still play Barbies, but then like I remember when she was starting to get not interested and I was like, God damn it. I still want to play fucking Barbies.
She's like, why are you getting wet all the time and making a mess? And Elsie told her that they have to go down in the stream because that's where they visit the fairies, which is a really good reason.
It's the best reason.
It's the only reason.
Yeah,
that
play
would
in
make
the stream
sense.
as much as you want. Fishing? Hell no. Fairies?
No, fairies?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. So obviously the parents didn't believe that, and this frustrated Elsie. She's like, yeah, like I shouldn't be in trouble. I really am playing with fairies down there. Don't you fucking understand? Elsie's dad was a hobby photographer. He had the whole 9 yards. He had a dark room. He had some fancy cameras, and he had taught Elsie how to use them. So Elsie was like, Dad, give me one of your cameras and I'll go down there and prove to you that there's fairies in the stream. For any camera nerds, it was a Midge quarter plate. An old 1920s camera.
Makes me think of the pregnant Barbie.
1920s Midge. Yeah,
that was her name, Midge.
That was the pregnant Barbie's name.
That's her name.
It makes me think of that 70s show. Wasn't that Donna's mom's name? I don't know.
Probably. She looks like a Midge. I didn't
does.
watch it enough. I need to actually go and watch it.
Yeah.
And now they're coming out with that 90s show.
It already came out.
Oh,
I heard it was bad. I don't know.
Of course it was bad. It was a freaking sequel.
True. Elsie's father agreed to let her have the camera, so they went out to the stream and 30 minutes later triumphantly handed over the plates. And to Daddy's surprise, when he developed the photo, he saw Frances crouched behind a bush, and in front of her what appeared to be 4 dancing fairies. And I have this picture on the slide. Not that one, sorry. Maybe I forgot to put it in here. Oh no, I must have forgot. Go back. There it is. There it is. So that is the photo. It's black and white, obviously, but the girls said the fairies had green, lavender, and mauve wings that faded into white skin and dresses.
Oh my God. Mauve is such a fairy color.
It's like that dusty, rose petally, like perfect fairy color.
Yeah, I had a little photo shoot. I must have been like 3 years old. My mom took me in and they dressed me up as a fairy, and it was like an olive, dusty green with mauve, and there's all this
and like lavender
and
color, magenta.
Yeah, some like pops of like baby pink. Yeah,
love it. I was a fairy for Halloween so many times.
As you should be.
I'd like to be one now.
You should.
Yeah.
Let's
I'm
actually
ready.
dress up for Halloween this year.
Oh yeah.
We need
let's
to do the
whole nine.
Sopranos cast, though. We need to have multiple
Yeah, but that's
Halloween
not as
events.
fun as being a fairy.
Well, we can have
I don't know.
multiple events. I'm
Okay.
trying to dress up as much as possible.
Fair. And I still need to buy my like Victorian Gothic like costume with the corset and the
wig.
The wig.
You need the wig.
I don't need. I guess now that my hair is short, I will
need
need
the
a wig.
Yeah.
And a parasail. That's what I was trying to say. So her dad knew that Elsie is a good artist and she's a pretty good photographer. So he's like, there's some trickery happening here. I know she's capable of probably faking this.
It looks fake.
It looks fake. He looked at this picture and said, okay, these are cardboard cutouts that she had drawn fairies on and then staged this image.
Very good drawing, then,
Yeah.
if that's the case.
Definitely.
I think it looks real.
Okay. The girls, however, remained staunch in their insistence that the fairies are real and this is a real picture. Frances even sent a copy of the photo to her friend back in South Africa, Johanna, and on the back she wrote, "It's funny, I never used to see them in Africa. It must be too hot for them there." About 2 months later, the girls borrowed the camera again and got another picture. This one is Elsie and a gnome. So, Alec, if you could pull that one up, there it is. In the picture, she's kind of coaxing the gnome to climb on her knee, and it's starting to jump up when the photo is captured. The girls said the gnome wore black tights, a red jersey, and a red cap.
And a rat.
And a rad cap.
A rat skin cap.
Ew. It's like a raccoon tail cap, but it's a rat for a little gnome.
A gnome would.
Yeah,
It would.
Yeah, not a fairy. Those are clean. They wear flower petals, but a gnome,
The
put
original
a rat on it.
Original rat tail.
In a later interview, Elsie said the gnome had no perceivable weight, but she could feel its, quote, little breath on her hand, which I think is very cute.
Does it have
nasty.
wings?
Yes, it does have wings. And she said these wings were more like moth wings and the fairy's wings were more like butterfly wings.
I've
So-
never seen a gnome with wings.
I know,
so
me
I don't
either.
know.
Maybe it's a crossbreed, fairy and gnome.
Oh, yeah. Little genetic mutation.
It's like a zorse. Or
What?
a zebra horse.
Oh.
Or a liger.
I'm in the cryptid territory. I
Oh.
wasn't thinking about real things.
A
I'm sorry.
jackalope, Haley. Does that
I
ring
didn't
more
know
of a
that
bell?
was. I also didn't know that was a
What?
hybrid.
That's a cryptid.
A jackalope?
A jackalope. You've never? Do you know what I'm talking? Like a bunny with antlers. You've never seen one of those?
Oh, I was for some reason my brain converted that to antelope, which is an
Okay.
animal.
That's
right?
a real. Yes, that's a real animal.
You know, they think jackalopes are real, though, because of that bone disease
Yeah.
that the rabbits have.
So scary.
What?
There's like a disease that makes like their bones keep growing. So like a big bone grows out of its head like a horn.
Okay.
I think deer can get it too.
Yeah, it turns out all cryptids are just genetic mutations.
Could be. She also said what looked like stripes in the photo is actually his pipes. I think like a flute kind of thing. And he was, quote, swinging in his grotesque little hand, the pipes.
Grotesque.
Yeah.
She's like,
It's
they were
that is
nasty.
rude. I guess the fairies are cute and the gnomes are gross.
Yeah,
Which
her
makes
dad's-
sense because
her
girls
dad-
are cute and boys are gross. Elsie's father still thought it was a prank and it like really annoyed him that the girls refused to admit that they were lying. So he refused to let them use his camera anymore, which I think is rude. Like the pictures are cool. Just keep letting them do it.
At the very least, just play into their imagination. You only have the chance to play with that for so long before
true.
all the other stressors of life kick in.
Elsie was 16 though, so I could see him getting like a little bit exasperated, being like, "Girl,
like, you should
you're
be
too old for this."
married.
right? For real? No,
Should be
not
married
for
with
real,
3
but
children.
This is like 1917.
for the times.
The mom though was starting to believe them. And remember, this is the early 1900s. This is peak spiritualism time. So Elsie's mom attended a Theosophical Society meeting in Bradford. And the Theosophical Society, it's an esoteric religious society, basically like a spiritualist society. They were doing a lecture on fairy life. So she brought the girls' photos and showed them to the lecturer after, and they were very impressed. The society displayed the photos at their annual conference where They were seen by one of the leaders of the organization, Edward Gardner. And one of the tenets of the Theosophical Society is that we as humans are evolving closer and closer toward what they call perfection. And part of this was spiritual perfection. So when he saw that the girls could photograph fairies, like this ability to not only see the spirit realm, but photograph it, to him was evidence of our spiritual evolution as human beings. That's how he saw it.
Okay, that's fair. I'd say that's a logical jump.
Yeah, so
to make.
Because of this, he was really excited about it. He wanted to start like displaying these and using them in his lectures, but first he had to be sure they were real.
Elsie's like, I'm published. I'm a published
She's like, sir, I can assure you they're real.
Where's my doctorate in pharaology? Phayology.
Phayology. But Gardner wanted to be sure. So he sent the prints to a photography expert named Harold Snelling to check out their authenticity. Harold determined, quote, the two negatives are entirely genuine, unfaked photographs with no traces whatsoever of studio work involving card or paper models.
How can you tell that from a negative, though?
That's,
can't.
Yeah, I don't know. But now they had the expert's seal of approval.
That's all you need. Just one expert.
Right. I mean, they were signed off on, basically, as genuine. So Gardner begins incorporating the images in his lectures. He's including them in publications. And it was in one of these publications called Light. It was a spiritualist publication, obviously, where they first caught the eye of legendary author of Sherlock Holmes, Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. This was like one of the biggest celebrities of the time. He is very famous, and he was really interested in spiritualism and really wanted to prove the existence of the supernatural. So he sees these photos of fairies and he's like, perfect. And he reaches out to Francis and Elsie's family for permission to use them in one of his articles. The girls' parents were obviously shocked. Like, here their kids are like taking these photos, what their dad is still convinced is a prank, and now it's like they have Kim Kardashian on the phone asking to use them.
Can you imagine the havoc that must have wreaked on their marriage? The mom is like, it's real. It's fucking real. And the dad is like, no, Karen, it's not, or whatever her name was. That would be you and Alec in that conversation.
Well, it used to be, and now Alec is like even a wilder believer than I am.
That's true. Yeah, he took
he did a full 180.
Yeah, I got hooked on Bigfoot.
Yeah, and Dogman. So even though the dad was pretty sure these were fake, no one's going to say no to Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. So
obviously
he's like, okay, sure, here they are. He was offered money for them, but the dad, they didn't want to take any money. They're like, that's not what this is about. We don't want anyone to say we're like conning any, for money.
Okay. Yeah.
So he's like, you can just have them.
Yeah. For me, I'd still want money, but I'd be like, no money, no exchange, but like we could enroll her in private school.
Right, you could pay her tuition.
And you could make a scholarship.
Yeah, maybe an art scholarship, photography, creative writing, acting.
She needs a camera of her own.
Before Doyle would use them, he also wanted to double check their authenticity, so he sent them to Kodak. Kodak analyzed them and concluded the pictures, quote, showed no signs of being fake. But they added the caveat that, quote, this could not be taken as conclusive evidence that these are authentic photographs of fairies. And they also refused to issue a official certificate of authenticity, even though they couldn't find any proof they were fake.
Imagine being the person that has to make that decision.
And
they're like, I want to believe.
Right.
But
And it like pissed Gardner off because the person who was checking them was like scoffing at the idea of fairies and was like, obviously fairies aren't real, so obviously these have to be a fake, even though I can't find evidence that they are fake.
Yeah. You're like, I know you're lying, but I don't know where.
Yeah, exactly.
How.
It's like when one of my kids has like a phone in their pocket and they're insisting they don't have it. It's like, well, I guess I can't prove
Yeah,
that you have a phone in your pocket.
Reach in your pocket
Right.
to prove it, but you and I both
know there's a phone in your pocket. Exactly. Another agency did say the pictures are fake, but it was now 2 against 1. We had 2 people, including one of them being Kodak, saying they're real. So Doyle ran with it, but he wanted more pictures. He was busy on the lecture circuit at the time. I think he was in Australia. So he sent Gardner to Cottingley to see if the girls could take more photos. When he got there, he's like hanging out with the family, and Elsie's dad told him like, hey, I really think these pictures are not real. I don't want to waste your time, but I did search the girls' room and the garden to see if I could find proof that they're doing it, like some evidence, and I didn't find anything.
Dad
so
is being such a buzzkill. He's really depressing me.
He's ruining this for everyone.
The vibe is just so good. Let them have this experience.
Right? It's fun. Let people have fun.
Let people live. I mean, do you all not know what's about to happen? It's 1717. Like,
right. Well, what already had just happened.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
So this is like right out of World War One, which is why a lot of historians say that like people were so willing to believe this. It's because they just wanted something positive
and
in their
better
life.
Reason.
Yeah.
You have the Great Depression coming. Was the Great Depression, I know obviously it was like in the US, but I'm sure it affected world markets as well.
I'm sure. I think it was worldwide, but like especially the US.
I should know more.
Listen, the US is the only place in the world, Hayley. Don't you know that?
Don't bring that patriotism in here. Nationalism, I mean.
So Gardner liked the family. He found them reliable, respectable. He didn't think they were trying to pull anything over on him. So in July, he gave each girl a camera. He secretly marked the plates of the cameras so it would be clear if they were tampered with. And he gave the girls instructions on how to get the best possible photos. He told them to only go out during nice weather and pay attention to the lighting, the distance, you know, the drill. He also really didn't want to pressure them. Like, I mean, Elsie is like 16, 17 at this point, but Frances is still pretty young. So he's like, you know, like, don't worry. If you can't get more photos, that's totally okay. But if you do get them, that would be really good too. The girls got to work. The fairies would not show up if anyone was watching. So on a sunny August day when Elsie's mom was when Elsie's mom was out at her sister's house for tea, they took the cameras into the garden. That day, they got 2 photos of fairies. The first is right here, and it's called the Leaping Fairy.
They're so cute.
They're very cute. And these photos are so precious. Like, these are just like early 1900s girls in these puffy white dresses, and they have this long curly hair in the gardens. It's all very quaint. And then there's like fairies around them.
Yeah.
They're cool photos.
I'm like, okay, first of all, I'm a little tipsy, just like a little bit. But it's making me think about how time seems so different. This is over 100 years ago, but yet things still stay the same. One of my favorite things as a teenager was going out and like doing a photo shoot with my friends.
Yes, the photo shoots. They had so much fun making these. You can totally tell. And looking for fairies. I used to sit in the garden for hours and like make little like houses for fairies and like little piles of dirt and call them whatever. Make little food for the fairies. I was obsessed.
Fully expected Edward Cullen's long lost brother to come around the corner at any point in time.
Oh, same. Vampires. The vampires were more of a tween obsession, but fairies were the elementary school.
Definitely. In that
hit.
fairy book, we bring it up pretty often,
yeah.
but we both had it. We know.
The one of the smashed fairies.
Yeah,
Yep.
with the purple
Yep.
book. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I think this book actually may have been based on this, because I think at the end of the book that has these photos, if I'm remembering correctly. It's been a long time since I've seen that book, but
Probably
I think it did have these. And so my mom would always tell me that the fairies in the book were real because of these photos, but I took it as like the scary squashed dead fairies were real, and so I hated that book because I was sad that all the fairies died.
And you have the book with them in it.
I have a little blurb about this first one. Elsie said, "The fairy is leaping up from the leaves below and hovering for a moment. It had done so 3 or 4 times, rising a little higher than before. Frances thought it would touch her face and involuntarily tosses her head back. The fairy's light covering appears to be close-fitting. The wings are lavender in color." And then there's a second one, which is right here. That one is a fairy offering a posy to Elsie. It's kind of standing there, giving her a little flower, and she's gazing at it. 2 days later, the girls got a third photo. And this one is a little different. This one is called the Fairy Bower. It's the next one on here. And you can see there's like a fairy here. There might be another fairy off to the edge, but most of the photo is like this gossamer, like draped fabric in the grass. Mm-hmm. The girls didn't know what this was, but eventually when the photos got published, fairy experts chimed in with some context.
Oh, this was the one.
The
one that got them to chime in.
Well, they were chiming in about everything, but it's like, well, what is this, like the fabric in the grass? And they said it's a photo of a magnetic bath that fairies weave after bad weather, especially in the fall. And they wrap themselves in this cocoon to magnetize and stimulate their senses. It's like a reset for them.
Okay, a cleansing.
Yeah, a cleansing.
Yes.
And is it just me, or does everything look kind of flat and two-dimensional, like transparent paper almost?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not being like a wet blanket. I just mean for the people listening.
Yeah, the fairies definitely look flat. It definitely looks like what Elsie's dad said about the cardboard cutouts. This one, I think, looks a lot different. This one has a lot more dimension. Even the fairy, I think, has a little more dimension. And you can see like the light coming through whatever is in the grass.
But they still kind of like stand out. It's pretty stark.
Definitely. And the fairies are like white and flat and like glowing almost.
Well, like if you asked me out of context of the story, I would be like, oh, these are just like painted on or cut and pasted on.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
Just for the listener. If I was listening, trying to picture it, I'd be like, does it look real?
No, it does not look real. You can tell something's going on.
I'm so excited to find out what they did. I hope we find out.
You will. So the girls packaged up the photo plates and sent them to Doyle, who is in Australia, and he was fucking thrilled. He wrote back, quote, "My heart was gladdened when out here in far Australia I had your note and 3 wonderful pictures which are confirmatory of our published results. When our fairies are admitted, other psychic phenomenon will find more ready acceptance. We have had continued messages at seances for some time that a visible sign was coming through."
Oh my gosh. The girls at this point are like, we're in too deep. We can't not.
Dude, exactly. Like they're just little girls in a rural village in bumfuck nowhere, England, and suddenly like a celebrity asks them to do something for him. Like you are backed into a corner.
What else are you going to do? Not?
No, you can't say no.
This is insane.
Doyle is like fully bought in. Like as you heard in that note, he believes it 100%.
It's really his fault. If any.
Oh, yeah. He's the adult. He should fucking know better. I'm sorry. Like all the adults are making some choices here. So in December, he published an article titled "Fairies Photographed, an epoch-making event described by A. Conan Doyle." And he wrote up this whole thing. He published the pictures. And what he really hoped was that these images would serve as proof of the supernatural world and promote spiritualism. To some people, it did. Like we already kind of touched on, this is right after World War I, and people were just desperate to believe in something positive. We've also talked about in this podcast before how so many people died in World War I that people were like, a lot of people suddenly lost relatives and wanted to believe in an afterlife. That was part of it. Novelist Henry de Vere Stackpole wrote, quote, "Look at Francis's face. Look at Elsie's face. There's a thing called truth, which has 10 million faces and forms. It is God's currency, and the cleverest coiner of forgery cannot imitate it." So he's basically saying, like, there's no way they're faking it. They are looking at fairies.
And I think what's so fun, to me at least, in believing in things that you can't prove is just that. And you all know, and if you don't, I'm not religious, but I believe in something bigger, and it's just fun to believe in things.
Why not? You know?
Well, why not? If you're not hurting anyone, you know, religion, cryptids, whatever it is, if it brings value to your life and it doesn't hurt anyone else and it doesn't hurt you, then
why not? Literally, why not? And honestly, like, nobody knows for sure.
Yeah,
Nobody.
if you can't prove it, then that's just it. You can't prove it.
Yeah. Others, though, believed this was a case of forgery. No. The Sydney newspaper quipped, quote, "And knowing children, and knowing that Sir Arthur Conan Doyle has legs, I decide that the Miss Carpenters have pulled one of them." So that's cute.
It's like written by their dad.
Yeah. Yeah, their dad wearing like one of those mustache glasses disguises.
Dad's a hater.
He is. And a lot of people were shocked that someone as seemingly intelligent as Arthur Conan Doyle could have fallen for what seemed like an obvious fake and was completely fooled by little kids. It's really weird. People pointed out that the fairies look exactly like typical fairies in picture books. They had fashionable modern hairstyles and dresses. In one picture...
Why wouldn't fairies be fashionable and modern?
Because they're not of this world. Why would they follow human fashions?
They're cool.
Okay.
They set the tone for fashion, I think, is what's happening.
Okay.
Yeah.
In one picture, Frances appears to like not be looking at the fairy. You can see that here. She's kind of looking past it, like she's like trying to look in the right spot, but kind of looking past it. And like we've already said over and over, the fairies look suspiciously like paper cutouts. Still, the girls stuck to their story, and Doyle and Gardner stood by them. Never a shadow of a doubt to either of them.
The girls are like, oh my God, we have to keep producing these pictures and cutting them out of books.
Seriously, they're fucking sick of it. And they're like
we're
these
running out of
grown
books.
men are so fucking dumb.
Get used to it, girls.
True. It's about time you learn.
Yeah, this is a fun way to learn that men are fucking dumb.
In August of 1921, Gardner made another visit to Cottingley and brought with him an occultist named Geoffrey Hodson. Elsie and Frances didn't see or photograph any more fairies during that time. And it's kind of funny because it sounds like they went down into the gardens with these guys and they're like, yeah, I don't see any. They must be like not want to come out. But then Hodson is like seeing them everywhere. Like he's claiming he sees them like all around him. And the girls are kind of like humoring him, playing along. They're like, oh yeah, like maybe they're just appearing to you.
That's so funny.
Interest in fairies eventually faded, and Elsie and Frances moved on. They got married, lived normal lives out of the spotlight, but they maintained the photos were real.
You have to. You're in too deep.
Until 1983.
What?
60 years later, like basically
on their
deathbed. They did an interview with The Unexplained. Both women insisted, even as old ladies, that they really did see fairies in the garden. But they had faked the photos to get out of trouble. Like when Elsie told her mom that they were wet because they were seeing fairies, that was true, but then their parents didn't believe them, so they had to fake these photos to prove it.
God. To justify getting in the creek.
Yeah. Elsie admitted she drew the fairies on cardboard. She had copied them from Princess Mary's gift book and then added wings to them. And I have a photo on the next slide of the pictures from this book, and you can clearly see that they're in the exact poses. They look exactly like the fairies.
She did a great job.
Yeah.
That shading is incredible.
Really good, especially because she like freeballed the wings.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
Good for her.
Freeballed, freestyled.
Freeballed.
Freeballed. We stand by that.
She then cut them out and propped them up with hat pins and took the photos. You can even see the tip of one of the hat pins in the gnome photo. We can't really see it here, but apparently like in person it's visible. And Doyle had noticed that when he was looking at the pictures, but he thought it was a belly button, leading him to assert that fairies give birth the same way humans do.
Through their belly button.
Through their belly button. So they're admitting that most of these photos are faked. But Frances insists that the last photo, the one with the cocoons, is real.
That seems like a odd thing to...
But like if you're admitting they're all fake, or like if you're admitting like, oh yeah, we faked it, why would you say that one is real?
Yes, that's my question.
She said, quote, "It was a wet Saturday afternoon and we were just mooching around with our cameras. And Elsie had nothing prepared. I saw these fairies building up in the grasses and just aimed the camera and took a photograph." Frances's daughter, Christine Lynch, also insists that her mother really did see fairies and that this last photo is genuine. Christine said, quote, "She never thought she could take photographs of the fairies, and then she saw the grass had been shaped into a semicircle nest. Without thinking, she took out the camera, set the timer, distance, and exposure, and it was only when it was developed that she saw there were actually fairies on it."
If the exposure was set, though, the fairies would be blurry.
I mean, they kind of are blurry in that picture. They're much more blurry there than in the other pictures.
Depending on how long the exposure was set for, though, and especially for an old camera, it would not be that clear unless
but
the fairy
other
was
photos,
posing.
like the photos of the girls, were clear.
Yeah.
I see what Hayley's saying.
But
Something about the
unless
field
they
of
were
focus.
Posing. Yeah.
Like the depth of field of it.
Was still, yeah. But if she would just set the camera up and had a long exposure to catch the fairies.
Well, I don't know how long it was. I don't know. Christine.
So it's real.
I think it's real. Christine also revealed that the whole fairy thing was not a positive experience for her mother. She said, quote, "Elsie had the idea of faking the photographs of the fairies, and it was only meant to get her out of trouble. It stressed her all her life about those fake photographs because it was only meant for family. Elsie swore her to secrecy, and she said it ruined her life because she was looking over her shoulder the whole time. As a little girl in 1920, she was not used to publicity at all, and it haunted her."
That publicity and being in the public eye would be haunting, but also get over it.
I don't know. Do you remember being a kid and like lying and constantly worried that you'd get caught in your lie? And then you have a celebrity like believing your lie, and then he's publishing it, and then you have like the entire country of England believing your lie, and you're like, oh shit, like,
yeah,
imagine like the fear of getting caught. I totally see where she's coming from. I think as an adult you'd probably grow out of it.
For some reason I thought that you were talking about the mom haunting her.
What?
I thought you were talking about the mom talking about this experience haunting her, and I was like, come on.
Well, it's the mom of Christy, who is Frances.
Okay.
Who did this.
That makes sense. Totally, I see. And also, no, I don't remember lying as a child because I never did.
Okay. I have one more quote from Christy. It says, "She didn't like the dishonesty of it. She knew she had seen them, but she knew they were fakes. But she knew the last one was genuine. So she didn't talk about it at all with me."
It's a little mishmash.
Yeah.
A little here and there.
Elsie had a different perspective. In the interview, she said she didn't feel like she was a fraud and that her and Frances were just having fun. It's not their fault that all these adults were stupid enough to believe them, basically.
Yeah. Yeah, I second that. I like that stance.
So do I. She said, quote, people often say to me, don't you feel ashamed that you've made all these poor people look like fools? They believed you, but I do not. They wanted to believe.
This was an art. They wanted to believe. It was under specific times and circumstances. And their life was probably maybe better because of it. It's not like they were selling these as like, spend $10 and come see the pictures of the real fairies.
It was
they
pretty
didn't scam people out of, well, maybe some time and money.
Yeah,
but.
it was for the most part a pretty harmless prank.
Yeah,
I don't think the family monetarily gained from them, but these prints were sold at auctions for like pretty high amounts. I don't know
they didn't set
where
out
that money went, but yeah, it wasn't.
Scam.
It wasn't a planned scam. It was literally like two kids having fun and then they got cornered. They got in way too deep and didn't know how to get out of it.
Yeah, this went viral before viral was like a thing.
Truly, and they felt pressured by all these adults, and yeah, it's the adults' fault. Like they're
snake
honestly
eating its own
stupid.
tail.
Yeah.
Wow.
So yeah, honestly, I love fairies. I'll believe in them anytime I have the opportunity to. So I think that last photo is real. I'm Team Fairy, Team Francis all the way.
I'm Team Fairy too, but I don't know if this is evidence.
Fair enough.
I'll say that.
Okay. But that is the Cottingley Fairies.
I love that lesson so much.
Thank you.
Good job.
Thank you. That is our show. We are going to continue chatting over on Extra Credit on Patreon. I have a really fucked up story to share. So if you want to hear that, head on over to Patreon. Support the show. As always, thank you for listening. We love you so much. And we'll see you next week. 3, 2, 1. Class dismissed.